It was supposed to be a season of peace, a time for families, for church bells, for forgiveness. But in 1997, Easter in America took a dark turn. Gunshots echoed through the streets of Brooklyn, a crowd screaming, running for their lives. Across the country in Los Angeles, a bank robbery turns into all-out war. Hundreds of bullets, civilians trapped, police overwhelmed. Two different cities, two violent events. One chilling question: was this just coincidence or something darker? To understand what happened, you have to go back to America in the 1990s, a time when cities were alive, loud, unpredictable. Crime rates were still high, especially in places like Brooklyn, where street life never really slept. And across the country in Los Angeles, tension filled the air, gangs, robberies, violence that could erupt at any moment. But as spring arrived, everything began to slow down. Easter season, a time of reflection, of faith, of families coming together, churches filled with worship, voices raised in prayer, palm branches held high, on a day meant to symbolize peace. For a moment, everything felt normal, but beneath that calm, something was waiting. And on Palm Sunday, everything changed. And then, out of nowhere, a figure appears, walking toward the group, unfamiliar, out of place at first. No one notices. The conversations continue. Laughter fills the air. Until a gunshot. Then another and another. And just like that, the street explodes into chaos. People running, screaming, trying to understand what's happening. Some freeze, others drop to the ground, everyone confused. In moments like this, time doesn't feel real. Everything slows down, faces filled with fear, voices fading into noise. No one knows where to go. What started as a normal Sunday had turned into something no one expected, a place that felt safe, now filled with fear. And in those seconds, no one was thinking about anything else, just one thing: survive. And when the noise finally stopped, nothing was the same. And then, silence, the noise fades, the running stops. But what remains? Silence. The noise fades, the running stops, but what remains is something far worse. Sirens begin to fill the air. Police arrive. Ambulances rush in. But for some, it was already too late. 3 lives gone, several others injured. In just a few seconds, everything had changed. Families would soon get the call, a call they never expected, on a day that was supposed to be filled with joy. Instead, it brought pain, confusion, and questions that may never be answered. Those who were there would never forget it. The sound, the fear, the moment everything changed. Some stood in shock, unable to process what they had just seen. Others ran and never looked back. Moments like this stay with people not for days, not for weeks, but for years. On a day meant for prayer, the streets were filled with fear. And as the city tried to make sense of what happened, this wouldn't be the only violence to shake America. That season, news of the shooting spread quickly, from the streets of Brooklyn to homes across America, and for many, it felt different, because this didn't happen on just any day. It happened on Palm Sunday, a day remembered for peace, for reflection, for faith, a moment in the Christian calendar that symbolizes hope. But instead of peace, there was violence. Instead of prayer, there was panic. Instead of hope, there was fear. And that contrast is what made it so disturbing, because people expect danger in certain places, but not here, not on a day like this. Communities were shaken, neighbors questioned their safety, families held their loved ones closer, and for many, a sense of innocence was lost. It was a reminder that violence doesn't wait for the right moment. It doesn't respect holidays, and it doesn't care who is watching. February 28th, 1997, Los Angeles, a city known for its movement, its noise, its energy, where millions of people move through their day without ever knowing what's about to happen next. The streets were busy, cars filling the roads, people heading to work, some in a rush, others taking their time. Just another normal morning. In one part of the city, banks were opening their doors, employees preparing for the day, customers walking in, handling money, making deposits, living their routine. There was no panic, no fear, no sign that anything was wrong. But sometimes the most dangerous moments start like this, quiet, ordinary, because just outside, two men were about to walk in and change everything. And then they arrive, two men, calm, focused, walking toward the bank. At first, nothing seems unusual, just two more customers walking through the doors. But something feels off, because they weren't just customers. They were heavily armed, prepared for something far bigger. This was no ordinary robbery. Within seconds, the atmosphere changes, voices rise, commands are shouted, people freeze, some drop to the ground, others don't know what to do. Confusion spreads, eyes searching, trying to understand how a normal day turned into this. Seconds feel longer, every movement, every sound feels amplified. But what no one inside realized was that this situation was about to escalate far beyond a robbery, because outside, the response was already coming, and within minutes, this bank would become a battlefield. And then, sirens, loud, relentless, police units began to surround the bank. Officers taking positions, weapons drawn, trying to contain a situation they don't yet understand. And then, gunfire. Not just a few shots, but a barrage. The street erupts, bullets flying, officers diving for cover, vehicles hit, glass shattering. A normal city street turned into a war zone, and in the middle of it all, civilians trapped. Inside buildings, behind cars, unsure where to run, or if it was even safe. The sheer intensity caught many off guard. This wasn't a typical robbery. This wasn't a quick incident. This was something else. News helicopters circle above, cameras capturing everything, broadcasting it live into homes across America. Millions watch in disbelief as the situation unfolds. In real time, minutes pass, but it doesn't end. The gunfire continues. The standoff stretches on, longer than anyone expected. What was happening would go down as one of the longest and most intense shootouts in American history. And when it finally began to slow, the damage had already been done. And eventually, the gunfire stopped. The streets grew quiet again, but what remained told a different story. Several people were injured, officers, civilians, all caught in the middle of something far beyond a normal crime. Vehicles damaged, streets scarred, a city shaken. But beyond the injuries, beyond the destruction, this event revealed something deeper, a gap between what law enforcement expected and what they were facing, because this wasn't the kind of threat they were fully prepared for. And that realization changed everything. Departments across the country began to adapt, upgrading equipment, improving response strategies, preparing for situations that once seemed unthinkable. Because what happened that day didn't just end when the shooting stopped. It changed how future situations would be handled, and in the aftermath, one thing became clear. America would never respond to crime the same way again. When events like these happen, we often ask one question: why? Because holidays aren't always what they seem. Behind the celebrations, there's movement, there's pressure, there's tension. People travel, leaving homes empty, creating opportunities for crime. Cities become crowded, streets busier than usual, more people, more movement, more confusion, and sometimes more risk. And for many, holidays bring more than joy. They bring stress, financial pressure, family expectations, unresolved emotions that can quietly build until something breaks. And when you look back at what happened in Brooklyn and in Los Angeles, different cities, different crimes, but the same season, a time meant for peace, interrupted by something else, something unpredictable, something human. Easter, a time meant to represent hope, renewal, and life. But in 1997, that same season told a different story, a story of fear, of chaos, of moments no one saw coming, because even in times of peace, darkness can still appear, even in the holiest moments. And maybe that's what makes it so unsettling. Not just what happened, but when. And sometimes the scariest stories are the ones that really happened. If stories like this matter to you, stay with us, because some stories need to be told.